turn your phone off.
Mom, can you not be so bossy? Thank you. I got it.
Oh, live. You are live.
I got it.
She don't bounce.
That's a good thing.
You are on Facebook Live, Katie.
I got it.
All right, guys. Hello, everyone. It is another episode of Victorious You TV. And I know you just heard my daughter say, Mom, can you not be so bossy? But that is her. So this is live TV. So things happen on live TV. We had a little bit of technical difficulties tonight because I was trying to get my other daughter on, but for some reason I was unable to get her camera in the room. So we're going to do something else just with us and Shay. So Shay gets her fair share of Victorious You TV Live. I want to just say hello to my girl, Angela Wyatt. Hey, fam. How are you? Hi, Twyla. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Before I get into the conversation with my daughter, Kay, I want to just talk about the past 2 weekends and some things that we did. But before I do, I want to say hello to Mr. Randall.
Hello, all. How you doing?
All right. Mr. Randall is here with me again. He did a great job last week. And so I got a lot of requests that Mr. Randall needs to be on. So here he is, guys. I made my promise that he's going to be on. Hey, Lexi. How are you, darling? Hi, Hillette. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Great to have you. Hey, Katina. Long time no see. Thank you for joining us. Shonda Keynes. Hello. Your Uncle Bill is here with us. Hi, Angela Wilson. I am doing great. Thank you all for joining us tonight on the live. If I don't see your name, know that it's not coming from me not wanting to acknowledge you, but we want to get right into the conversation. So for a moment, I'm just going to do the full screen and I'm going to put my daughter on hold for a little bit and then bring her back. So, or hold on a sec. There she is, the beautiful Katie and Siraj Kaban. My daughter, my oldest or firstborn. And so you have to stay tuned for the conversations that we are going to have with her. But in the meantime, I just want to share some good news. So last weekend, I won the Author of the Year award for Devotional of the Year. Super, super excited. So I get, I get to share this award with all of you. And for every one of you that have supported all of the books that I have written, but especially my very first book, the 90 Days to a Victorious You, this is for you as well. So thank you so much for all of your love and your support. I was truly honored to receive that Author of the Year award for the devotional. I also launched my latest book, Finding a Path to Victory, 9 stories on using faith to overcome obstacles. And I know some of my co-authors are on with me tonight. It is an absolutely incredible book. The 9 journeys in this book really took a look at the lives of people who have gone through some really difficult times in life and have survived and used faith to overcome those obstacles. So when you get a chance, please make sure you check this book out and get the link so that you can purchase. Now, I also want to do something special tonight for all of you that are watching. First of all, I just really appreciate you guys tuning in. And so the third book that I wrote was called Loving Me from A to Z. And I want to gift 5 people this book tonight. So if you stay until the end of this broadcast, I want you to type the words gift, G-I-F-T, in the comment box, and I will choose the first 5 people that type the word G-I-F-T in the comment box, and those 5 people will receive a free copy of the third book I wrote, Loving Me from A to Z. And it is a book of affirmation with all the letters of the alphabet. It's also a workbook. and it has coloring options in the back. So you guys get a chance to, I don't know if you can see it, but you get a chance to color. So I am giving this to 5 people tonight who type the word GIFT, the first 5 people, and I'll be able to contact you, and then I'll send this out to you, ship it out to you for free. So the first person that say gift is my girl, Robin Harris. So Robin, you know you gonna get one. And then my girl, Shonda Keynes, is the second one. So babe, I'm gonna give you work to do. You gotta write Robin Spears Harris and Shonda Keynes. And anybody else that needs that book, you got to, oh, I love it. Angela, you are so right. Angela said, wait till the end. I love it. I love it. Angela said, you guys got to watch till the end. So at the end of this, that's what I'm going to be looking for. Hi, Teresa. I'm glad to have you join us tonight. So I want to get into this conversation because this is going to be pretty juicy, right? And my boss baby, when I say boss, she acts like she my mother. So tonight, I want to bring her on screen and I want to give her an opportunity to tell a little bit about herself. Our firstborn, my head, the one that is just so absolutely amazing. And she is bossy, y'all. Kadeen Siraj Kaban. Kay, hi, baby. How are you?
Hi. Can you guys hear me? Good.
Yes, we can hear you. I want to kind of put you so you're big on screen.
Awesome. Hi, Mom. Hi, Pop.
Hi.
Hey, babe.
How are you guys doing?
Good. So, Kadeen, if you guys can, hey, Dahlia is here. Oh my God. Amazing. So Dahlia Murdoch Campbell is a very, very good friend of mine, a dear friend of mine from Jamaica for years and years and years, and just so happens to be Katie's godmother, y'all. That is her godmother. So it's so nice to have Dahlia with us watching this broadcast tonight. Hey, Dahlia, great to see you. I love you, my friend. And your goddaughter is on tonight, right? That is pretty amazing. So I want to get back to Kadeen, and I want Kadeen to just tell us a little bit, tell the audience a little bit about you, Kay.
Well, I am the firstborn. Smidge bossy, I will admit. Apologies. But I am 33 and happily married for over a decade. I've been with my husband for almost 20 years. We've got 3 kids. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an almost 9-month-old. And I'm a stay-at-home mom. I do some work online, but most of my time I spend volunteering for my church, and I work with a lot of teens as well. Youth is kind of what I do at my church. So that's a little bit about myself. So.
All right. That is awesome. Thank you, Kay. So I really want to get into some questions because I want my audience to have an understanding. Most of you know about my life, right? That the first time I was married, I experienced domestic violence, and I stayed in that relationship for 7 years. And it was a very, very difficult relationship for me. Katie, my older daughter, experienced it, and so did Shay, my younger one. She also experienced it, but we're out of that situation now. But it is important for us to bring attention to the impact that domestic violence have on our children, because it's lasting, and sometimes it lasts for a decade. And so I thought it was appropriate for me to just talk to Katie just to get from her perspective, seeing domestic violence in her home and what that did to her, or how she was able to get past it, and just her thoughts. And so I just want her to freely share. And so the first question I want to ask Kay is, a lot of times women stay in a domestic violence situation, or men, because it goes both ways, because of the fear of the unknown and not knowing what they can do when they leave. They may financially unable to take care of themselves and their kids on their own. And a lot of women I've heard say, I'm staying for the children. I'm staying because I want my kids to have the mother and the father, the two-parent household, and I'm staying for my children. But that is not always the best decision. Can you just talk a little bit about your perspective on that?
I don't think it's ever the right call to make. I can understand as a mother why someone would, want to make that decision. But I think there are ramifications for the children. And I think we really need to look at what those ramifications are. I think when you grow up in a household that is abusive, and it could be physical abuse, it could be psychological, emotional, but when you grow up in that environment, what happens, I think, is you start to think that that's normal. It becomes normalcy. And so when you get older, guys, girls, males or females, they'll go out there and they might find themselves in a situation, in a relationship where it's abusive. But because they grew up seeing abuse, it doesn't register, it doesn't trigger alarms, it doesn't trigger red flags. And so, I think that's definitely, you have to think about that in wanting to leave and wanting to have a better life for your children. I don't think having your children grow up and seeing those things is ever the best thing. I also believe it causes a lot of trauma, psychological trauma that when you're going through things, to cope and to be able to survive those situations, you bury a lot of things and you stuff things deep, deep down. And so you grow up and you get older and you don't realize that you're still dealing with the trauma of things that you saw or experienced as a child. And so I think it can have major psychological ramifications if you stay in those situations, for your children. I think the sooner you get out, the better, because it leaves lasting scars. And I think there's so many of us that honestly need, kind of a cathartic release and need therapy for those things, because a lot of us are damaged from things that we've witnessed based on what we've gone through. And you just, in our situation, for us, leaving was positive. And I don't think I've ever really come across a situation where, children have left or whoever was being abused has decided to leave and really it was the worst decision they ever made. You know what I mean? It's usually, it might feel that way initially, especially for us and what we had to go through until we got on our feet, until we were established, until we had a proper roof over our head. Yeah, we struggled, but when we look back, it was the best decision we ever made.
That's awesome.
And so it's rarely ever that I've ever heard that it was the wrong call. So those are just my thoughts on that.
Okay, that's awesome. And I just want to say, just show on the screen a couple of comments that we're getting. My sister, Crystal, said it's never a good idea to stay for the children. She said, I lost myself using that excuse. And so, that was, that's powerful, Crystal. Thank you for sharing, sis. Great to have you on. Shonda said, I did as a child, and she's 100% correct. And I know that Shonda wrote a book, about some of the things that she saw. And my very good friend Teresa said, what she's saying is right on point, very true and well spoken. And so people are, understanding that this is true. So my next question to you is, you saw firsthand domestic violence with us, right? Because you were old enough to see it and you were old enough to understand what it was, what was happening. What can you say that leaving that situation did for you?
I was old enough to remember, and I remember being angry. And I felt like I was getting angrier and angrier and more bitter and more bitter. And I think if I hadn't gotten out of that situation, I don't know who I would be right now. it was really hard for me because I could see the things that were happening to you. And what I saw was not just physical abuse, but it was your deterioration.
Wow.
And helplessness there was really nothing that I could do to fix that. And so it felt like we were spiraling and I felt like I was drowning. And I just felt such anger and kind of, I don't want to say hatred because that's, not in my person, but I would akin it to that at that age, being maybe 10 years old or however old I was, just feeling such intense anger. And I don't know if we hadn't gotten out, if I wouldn't have at some point turned that anger onto myself.
Yeah.
Lashed out at others. So I was very happy and grateful to leave. And no matter how rough things were for us while we were trying to get on our feet, I was happy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The roof fell. Oh, it's all right. We're gonna find
Yeah, and that is really true. We lived in a house and the roof fell on my head in the kitchen. I'm telling you, the things that we went through, and we were staying there, we were borrowing the place. Like somebody was sorry for us and gave us this place to stay. And it was an old home. And it was deteriorating. And I was in the kitchen washing dishes and the roof fell on my head. And I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I was devastated. When I tell you that these girls gave me the strength to live, that is serious news, because Kadeen and Shay helped clean up the mess after the roof fell on my head, because I was just so, I felt so, I don't even know what the word is.
hopeless,
disappointed in myself. Like I failed my children. Like I came out of the domestic abuse and end up being homeless and then going from a place, staying here and staying there just so we could survive. And it was devastating. It was my daughter said an old home with creepy neighbors. So Shay is on. Yeah. It was creepy neighbors.
Who sacrificed chickens.
Yes, who were killing chickens. That is true. That is true. So, oh my God, Kay, I really appreciate you saying that. So for you, leaving was the best thing we did. And I remember one time thinking that it was so bad and we had nowhere to go that I decided I was going to call my ex-husband and have him take me back. And you said, no, we are not doing that. We are absolutely not doing that. And I want to show something that my daughter said. I remember you coming to pick me up from school right after the roof fell on you and you locked your keys in your car. Oh my God, such a tough day.
A lot of tough days. Yep.
It was tough. It was more tough. And then Shonda said probably felt hopeless when the roof fell. Oh, absolutely. And so this leads me to my next question, Kay. There's a lot of girls, when I look at the statistics for domestic violence, there are girls now between the ages of 18 through 24 that is experiencing a higher rate of violence than before. What can you, and I know in your church, you're very involved in your church and you do a lot where the young ladies are concerned. What can you share or give some highlights about that and maybe some of the reasons why there's such a spike in this age group?
Well, actually, we were just having that conversation last night in my life group with my girls, and we were talking about some of those things that they have been experiencing in their relationships, and it is abusive. Sometimes it's not always physical. It's not always overt. But a lot of them, as far as what I've heard them say, I feel like what I'm hearing is a lot of it has to do with their self-esteem and their self-worth and their self-image. And, a lot of them are looking at social media and magazines and celebrities on TV and these things, and they're kind of using that as some kind of measurement of who they are, and then see themselves as lacking. And so they're finding validation, I think, in these guys that aren't great for them, aren't the right ones for them. But these guys somehow fill a void, make them feel better about themselves, or whatever the case may be. And I just really feel like it has to do with our girls just needing stronger energy and females and positive people around them that they can talk to, because I really think that makes a difference. Because a lot of them are just with these guys who aren't nice to them, who aren't great to them, for great pictures on Instagram, or hashtag goals.
Yeah.
Instagram, and the guy has a car, and just certain things that are materialistic. And I've got a girl that was talking, she cuts herself, she's got scars, and she's come a long way. She's one of my girls that I've been working with now for about 2 years, and she's come a long way. And she was actually like speaking to these other girls last night, and it really starts with self-love, I think, for the group, especially that I was talking to. It starts with self-love. And I myself went through an abusive relationship when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it was very, very bad.
Listen, and let me just say this. Sometimes parents know, even when you're not, the kids are not sharing things, because this boyfriend that she had, I did not like him. First of all, I really don't like the boys when my daughters at first, it takes a while, right, babe? It takes a while for me to get warmed up around them. But this particular guy, I did not like him. I despised his little butt. But because it looks as if everything was okay. And here's another thing. A lot of times when our teenagers are in these relationships, they don't want to hear from the moms. They don't want to hear from, and then they lie, or they don't tell you the truth. And so you could share. Shay Shay said mom couldn't understand. Yeah, mom couldn't stand it. Yeah.
But I'm gonna be honest. Having someone that I could have talked to would have probably changed things for me. But I didn't have that at that time. I didn't have someone I could confide in. And that's really...
Or you felt like you didn't have.
Felt like I could... Because it's hard to confide in your mom. I mean, you feel... and so I think that's why aunts are important. Uncles are important. Grandparents, like... Pops, I got you. But my abusive relationship was what I had witnessed up until that point was physical. And so what I experienced with this young man, it was wrapped in a very different package.
Yeah.
Wrapped in a pretty package that looked like love and concern, but it was control. So it wasn't physical. It wasn't what you saw. It was different. No, I didn't. For me, it was all about control. So when he would take me to the mall and buy all my clothes, I would think, oh my gosh, someone's buying me all these amazing things. And what girl wouldn't want her boyfriend to go shopping with her? I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't seeing the forest for the trees. I wasn't seeing that it was his way of controlling exactly what I wore.
Right.
When he would pick me up and drop me off at work, or pick me up from like anywhere I had to go, pick me up, take me there. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't have to take the bus. He's giving me rides. No, it was because he wanted to know exactly where I was at all times. Yeah. And it was these little things that when you're young and you've gone through some things, you're lacking that kind of male figure. Maybe you just, you don't see these things as abuse. And I think a lot of young girls are going through those things. They don't see it because it's not necessarily physical. It's not malicious. It's not cruel. It's disguised as love and care. And I promise you, if a guy ever says to you, nobody's going to love you the way that I love you, that is a red flag.
Yeah.
It's a warning. Okay? A proper gentleman would not say those things. I mean, that is a red flag. So it was just, it was a lot. But it was, control and manipulations. Those are just classic things that you would think coming from where we came from, I would have been aware.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen that kind of an abuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that abuse. I knew something different.
Different. Pops, do you want to add anything? I feel you twitching over here. We're holding hands like ever so tightly, and I can feel him twitching. Do you want to add anything, baby?
Well, first I want to say, Kay, how much I admire and love you. You know that, and I mean, I'm truly proud right now to just watch you and listen to your story. I want to ask you this though.
Okay.
How did you find the way to love and trust a guy again?
Good question.
That is, I knew deep down in my heart of hearts that he wasn't the right guy for me. I knew he wasn't the person that I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with, but I was stuck. I was stuck for different reasons, but I feel like God built women with a gut instinct that is unparalleled. And the Holy Spirit speaks to you. And I promise you, you know in your gut that something is off. And then after a while, your head catches up and you start to see the signs and you know. But until your heart catches up, until your heart's like, okay, I am now ready to walk away, you're not ready. And I think what happened is over time, I just stopped loving that person. And I realized when I walked away that that's not real love. Like, that's not love. And so I understood that that package was not what I was supposed to have. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't turn me off from another relationship because I knew that was wrong. But what it taught me was to listen to myself, to trust myself. It taught me warning signs. It taught me, okay, no, been there, done that. I don't like that, So I learned something from that, and I took something away from it. And so I'm a really forgiving person. I don't hold grudges, things like that. So I was able to just release that and just, move on.
So I know we're getting ready to kind of wrap up, but I have two more questions for you. And this is going to throw you off a little bit. It took us, you and I, a really, really long time to heal as a result of what we went through. And I felt like we butted heads together because I didn't understand your pain of seeing abuse because you didn't really necessarily share it with me. But when you sat me down and talked to me and I understood it and I said, I'm sorry, and I asked for forgiveness, how did our relationship become this amazing now? What was the change, the breaking point where you could say, you know what, Mom, I get it. You were doing the best you can and you found yourself here. Because a lot of times, children and their parents battle because they stay for a long time or they don't leave, or the kid is just tired of seeing their parents go through this kind of abuse. Share with us how we were able to repair our relationship, you and I.
Well, I was never mad at you, more so than I was just hurt by a lot of things that happened to me. And I'm going to be very honest. It was really hard watching you go through the things you went through, because it wasn't just the abuse, but then it was the aftermath of that and picking up and healing from that. And through our struggles and trying to survive and rebuild our lives, I saw you break down a lot.
Yeah.
And it forced me to be strong. I could never break down. It was like I always had to shove my feelings and whatever was going on with me aside because I had to be strong for you. Like that's how I felt. Like I always had to be strong. And so I never really got a chance to process my own stuff.
Wow.
And, I just felt like, I don't know. I felt like you're my mom and you should know what I'm feeling and you should be like, you should be able to just know my hurt. And, you know, one of the situations that I went through was when we left, one of the very first places that we stayed was my aunt's house. And I dealt with a situation there as well, of sexual abuse there. And I tolerated that for a long time because I knew we had nowhere to go. But that's just how I've always felt. Like I've always felt like I just had to be just a strong person. And it wasn't until I became a mom that all of it just left me because I understood that you've got no idea what you're doing. You're just doing the very best that you can. Like there is no book. Right. You know, I think that we are broken people, raised by broken people, trying to not raise broken people.
Wow. Wow. Say that one more time. Say that again.
I said, I think we are broken people, raised by broken people, trying to not raise broken people.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that's, you know, when I look at my children, that's what I see. Like, I am just trying to make sure that I do not mess them up. Like, if I can just make sure that I don't mess them up, then I will have done my job. Like, so I understood really clearly what it was like to be in your shoes. And I had just such forgiveness for you and such understanding and such, it was like, oh, you know, what could you have done? You were thrown in the worst situation ever with 2 kids and you just had to do the best that you can. And that's, you know, how I just let everything go. And I felt like I was able to present things to you in a way that wasn't super emotional and charged, but in just a place of calm forgiveness. Yeah. And be able to say, okay, this is what I felt kind of coming up and I just want to express it to you. And you received it really well. And I think it was from that point on that.
Yeah. And, you know, as a mother, you know, it's like, as I said before at the top of this broadcast, is like coming out of the, what do you call it? The fire and going into the fire, coming out of the smoke and going into the fire. It was like from one fire to one fire. Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are on this broadcast and the whole world that don't know the first 10 years of my life in this country was the most difficult years of my life. I mean, there were a point in my life when I didn't want to live and tried to take the life you and Shay in my life, try to take us out of this world. And so nobody, and that's why now, and I'm getting emotional talking about it now, people see all the stuff that I am doing and all of the awards I'm winning and all of the things that I'm doing in my life, but nobody knew the pain for so many years that I endured to this point. So, you know, someone might see me on social media and may even say she's bragging or she's boasting or she's always posting about her husband or her children, but nobody knew the before this. And one of the reasons why it was important for me to bring you on was I always share the story, but nobody heard from my children, right? Nobody heard from the ones that endured it with me. So I thought it was important that people hear from your perspective of the pain, and people sit there. I've heard so many feedback of speculations about why I've never even gone back home to Jamaica. People are out there speculating things, but nobody knew that the first 10 years in this country was struggle. I mean, laying on the floor, struggling, right? But through faith and through the power of God and through just having this thing inside of me that's called perseverance, and you and your sister, you being the head, you being the one that navigate everything that we did once I left, and Shayana being the one of compassion and is always like hugging me and giving me strength through these hugs. That's how I was able to make it, my head and my heart. And that's why I call you guys my head and my heart, because I survived because of you and your sister. And it was not just me. And to see you guys, and anything could have happened because of what we all endured. But God is so merciful that you are so amazing, and so is your sister, and things could have been totally different. You guys could have gone in a different way because you saw abuse. You could have had a different life. And then this man out of nowhere joined our family, and everything that you guys lacked in a father, he gave it to you guys and so much more. And he never for 1 minute say that these are my stepdaughters. He's always maintained that you guys are his children. And so I am blessed. And I just want to say this for anybody that might be out there watching this broadcast right now. No matter what you're going through, no matter how tough the situation is, find a way to get out of it if it is abusive. If you're living in an abusive relationship, find a way to get out. And even when you get out, you may struggle for a while, but just know that, God had given you everything inside of you to be strong. He's already equipped you because he knew what you're going to have to endure. So he's already equipped you. And if you can manifest the strength that you have deep down inside, you can do anything. Today I'm sitting here, an award-winning 4-time best-selling author. You hear me? And that just happened in the last 2 years. And I'm 53 years old. So don't let age stop you from doing what it is that God has placed in your heart. And Lord, I'm going off on a tangent, but I got emotional just seeing you and just being so proud of you, the way you present yourself, your grace, your elegance, your maturity, your knowledge, your sophistication. It's just incredible to see you and hear you speak from your perspective. And it's an open dialogue. It's an honest dialogue. It's nothing that is forced or you had to take notes. This is just real because we wanted to share. Domestic violence is not only about October, and domestic violence affects every person in the family once it happens. And so I have one last question for you. Any advice, any thoughts you want to leave with our audience about just if you're in a situation, whatever it is, you just throw out what you have before we let you go.
I think one of the markers of what happens in these situations is isolation. Yeah. And so I think it's very important that you try to establish connections with people. If no matter what level that you're in, where you're at, don't lose those connections. Reach out to people. Let someone know what's going on. Have people that you can confide in, that you can talk to, that can lift you up, that can give you hope, that can pray for you, that can just be in your corner. Because when you're in these situations, you need strength.
Yeah.
And that comes from, your circle, your people, and it comes from God, and it comes from, just building yourself up so that you can walk away from these things that are happening.
Yeah. And then I would be remiss if I didn't say this, but I also see a total change in you since your whole family got baptized and you guys are walking this Christian walk. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for that. What has that really done for you?
It has given me peace.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of peace that only knowing God can give you.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm going to for just a tiny second go off on just a little thing. My husband and I were having conversation because there has just been this rise in suicides, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Anthony Bourdain, whom I love, and I watch his show like an addict. But you've got these people who on the outside seem to have everything.
Yeah.
Money, fame, cars, houses, all the stuff that you think is what makes you happy and complete. But we were designed with a missing piece. And we're going to continue to search and be unhappy no matter what materialistic things we have. We're never going to be happy until that missing piece is filled. And that only comes from God. And so you're going to continue to search until you've got that. And that's what it's given to me. I mean, God has definitely delivered my family from, some trying situations. He has made himself known in a way that you're like, okay, I see you. All right. So I would say that it's just given me peace to know that whatever it is, that we're going to be covered, whether it's finances, whether it's sickness, whether, it's whatever the enemy is throwing at you that week, that day, that you're going to be fine.
Wow. Wow. Babe, what do you want to say to your daughter after all of that?
Well, again, I just want to say how proud I am of you, Kay. It's been amazing, this journey for me with you all. And, I would be remiss if I didn't say the same for Shay. It's a total difference. You guys don't realize I had to win this one over first. And,
yeah, he had to win her first.
And once I met Kay, it was like, this is the one.
She's the tough one.
But I can honestly say it really wasn't hard because I knew she was genuine and I knew she would see that in me. And Shay was my partner anyway, because we used to kind of play around and joke around and have fun all the time. But just to see you grow and to see the response that you have in your family and the leadership that you have as the queen of your actual family and what you're teaching your children, I'm just so proud. Yeah. I'm excited as a pops to have a son-in-law. Yeah. And he's my son, and I tell him that all the time, and I'm so very proud of him. And the one thing that I always tried to do was be the role model that I would want my daughters to have in a man. Yeah. And I see that with the guys that you all have chosen, and I'm so very proud of that. And I'm even more proud of the grandkids coming up and watching them grow and do things. So I just want to say to the audience out there, when you see our family, you will see a genuine love from us, and we will take you in. We will caution you, though, that you got to be prepared for transparency, because that's what we do. Yeah. But just so proud of you, babe.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I am like super proud of you, Kay. And your godmother is on here, and I wanted to just post what she said. She said, so eloquent, so poised, Joni, and that's what she's always called me. And I love that name, by the way. It's my favorite name of all my names, Joni. She said, Joni, you've raised two beautiful women who have inherited your strength. Blessings to you all. Thank you, Dee. I so love you, and I so appreciate you. And Kay, my baby girl, I am just so proud of you. Thank you for being open, for being transparent, for being honest,